What's your background, Javi? And maybe for everyone that doesn't know you, maybe just like introduce yourself short, like one sentence. What's your name? And what would describe you in the best way?
Wow. Okay, that's easy, I think. I'm Javi Lopez, Javi Lopen in Twitter, and I'm a geek. That will be a very good summary. I've been all my life doing things related to tech and design. So that point of intersection between technology and design is the thing I like the most. Since I was 9 years old, I've been playing with computers, programming. I started with MSX in BASIC. Then I went to Pascal, C, Java, C++. And at the same time, I was learning programming and doing small projects, video games, etc. I was doing things related to design with Photoshop. Well, I started with GIMP, then Photoshop, a little bit of 3D Studio Max, VRI, thing related to CGI, all this together. So by the time I saw generative AI for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this all my life. It's like all the things I like together, no? Like I was doing procedural things with with programming, but now you can do that just with a prompt, and then something kind of magic will happen under the hood, and an image will pop up, or a video will pop up, or a text will pop up. So since I saw that in April 2022, no, with DALI 2, because first we saw DALI 1 in 2021, but they didn't put it available for people. So we have to wait for 1 year that they put available for people, DALI 2. And I was lucky because I had a lot of time in that moment. I was in how do you say, gap year? Well, 2 gap year after after selling my previous startup, Erasmusu.com, a social network for Erasmus students that I built with Emilio. And then I was lucky because I have a lot of time. I didn't have anything to do. And there was DALI 2, Disco Diffusion, then pretty soon after that, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, etc. And since that date till today, I've been like full-time playing with this kind of technology.
So you think like your background in doing all this traditional computer science work, right? Like traditional programming, traditional 3D, traditional basic stuff, right? Like a very like broad spectrum use case of technology. And now then when you got hooked on AI or generative AI, it was that kind of like magic feeling that like, oh, before I had to know all these things, and now it's more like pure. It's my thoughts, my imagination, and then that translated to an output straight away. So that was kind of like the moment for you, no? Like it sounds like you had an aha moment with that era, yeah? It's funny
Yes,
with, yeah.
it's all that mixed with the thing that I really enjoy science fiction, and I've been reading things related to artificial intelligence for so long, like all the classics from Asimov to Arthur C. Clarke, etc. So it was something that I was like expecting all my life. I remember in 2000, first year in computer science in the university, and a teacher asked to the audience, to all the students, do you know any algorithm that can create another algorithm? Everyone in class was shut up thinking, and he said, no, there is nothing like that. No, artificial intelligence has been promising that since 2050, and nothing that artificial intelligence was promising happened. And maybe we won't see this during our lifetime. And I remember that super well because by the time we saw the first step of GPT-3 or GPT-2, GPT-1, and then generative AI with DALI 2, etc., I was like, hey, look, right now we have something like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., algorithms that can create algorithms. It's incredible. I was so ready for this because it's so appealing to me, all things related to creating something procedurally.
Yeah, that's it, no? Like it's very, I don't know, it's strange in one way from, just thinking about like how far we've come, but then also how far we have in front of us. Like we're just in the beginning, right? But it's like, it is like we're living in science fiction. No, it's like It's like yes, we want all these other things that we have dreamt up in science fiction, and we don't have it yet, but it feels like we have the building blocks, we have the pieces to make that future more real than ever before. And I think like now we're kind of people that have been early in this field have really kind of had a first class ticket into seeing a little bit of the future, right, before everyone else. And I think a very few select people like yourself and some other founders around the world have been able to understand maybe, or be lucky, like, I don't know, maybe it's a combination of the two, what's going on, right? And build stuff with this. Because like ultimately you didn't just play with this, right? Like you didn't just have the free time for 2 years and do nothing. No, like you also saw an opportunity to make something very special.
But playing.
Yeah,
For
to
me,
apply.
that's
Yeah. Oh, well, it is playing. No, like that is very accurate. So, at what point would you say like your play turned into like creating Magnific, for example? And for people that don't know, Magnific.ai is started as a creative upscaler.
okay. Okay. I feel so lucky because, like I said, for me, everything has been like a continuum from April 2022, start playing with Disco Diffusion because I saw DALL-E 2 on the news, but DALL-E 2, I didn't have any ticket, golden ticket. I don't know if you remember, they were giving like no invitation. I didn't have any, and I didn't have any for 1 month or something like that. So I went to Google. I'm not using Google anymore. And then I was like, okay, what's the alternative? That maybe there is something, no? And I found a thing called PT tools. Well, of course, machine learning and creating your own GANs or neural networks for training with images and then generating something a little bit crappy. And the other option were things like PT tools and Disco Diffusion. The very same day I saw DALL-E 2, I started playing with these kind of things, no? And when I say for me it's a continuum, I feel it like that. So I don't feel that there were something that changed in my mind to build Magnific and now I'm working. No, it's like, I started with Disco Diffusion and now I'm in Freepik after the acquisition of Magnific, still doing the thing I like related to this kind of thing. But of course, something changes, no? For example, we have to build a company to put a legal status to what we're doing. I think for me, something that was like the starting point was when, after talking with my co-founder, Emilio, we said, okay, you have this thing that is working locally, this upscaler, that you are already showing things in X, in Twitter or X, and people are asking a lot, because I remember now, no, I already have like the core of Magnific in my laptop working with a GPU, small GPU. I now publish some images and a lot of people were like, whoa, what is this? No, because it was like the first time you were able to see a mid-journey image, but in high resolution and with a lot of detail. And some people like Danny Postma offered me directly after that post money to buy this workflow. Like he openly said, I will pay $15,000 for this if you give me right away. And I wrote him and I told him that I was thinking maybe to build this into a program. And he was very, very friendly with me and teach me the first step about how I can put this that I have in locally into production using something like replicate that you have the GPUs in the cloud, etc. So by the time I talked with Emilio and I said, okay, this is something that can be very cool. I didn't say that can be huge because we didn't know exactly what we had. We didn't know that we have a creative upscaler. That didn't exist, that terminology. You know, there were upscalers, there were no creative upscalers. It was something, we didn't knew that we have something new. We just knew that we have something cool that maybe will be interesting for other creators. Because if I was having a wow effect when doing this, like before and after, and people were having a wow effect in X, so maybe it could be a great product for more people, no? But we were expecting something like, maybe if we were lucky, something like 20,000 MRR, something like that, maximum, no? Like if we got lucky, and then Emilio said, okay, let's do this like something more, professional. Let's build a company and let's start working together on this full time and let's launch it. So for me, that was the moment that still playing, but changes from playing without earning any money to playing earning money for something I was enjoying.
That's a nice, and it was a quick journey, no? Like how many weeks or months from like you having it on the laptop to it being deployed to you guys realizing that this is growing really fast?
So I think from May to June of 2023, I
Yeah,
don't remember.
23, no?
I was like learning stable diffusion mainly with tools like Conf.ai that already exists by that time, and Automatic 1111, taking classes from some people that were very, very good on stable diffusion and that are still very good, like Juan, that is now working in Leonardo. With this kind of classes, together with tutorials, I was exploring different things like transformation, upscaling, etc. By the time I have a pipeline, a very good pipeline for upscaling, I was like, wow, this is something that could be something very interesting, because it was already very, very interesting to me. And what was the question?
How the time
I
like
got lost.
no worries. The time it took from
Yeah.
the beginning you had it on working on your laptop to the fact that you deployed it and when you realized, Emilio, this
Yeah.
is growing really fast.
Yeah. So that kind of learning and playing was like 2 months, my year. Then we have that locally. I show it to Emilio. Emilio said, okay, let's build this into a product. And then summer came. Summer in Spain is very hot, and when it's very hot, you really, it's difficult to work. And I was traveling, so July, August, I was working. Emilio was working too, but not too much. I remember being in a small village in France with my laptop, in, how do you say, calzoncillos, like
The underwear.
underwear, sweating, super hot, and hitting the button to do an upscale, waiting for 7 minutes, and then changing small things in the parameters, hitting again, waiting, and like that for 3 hours, and then going to the beach and doing this walking in the countryside with my girlfriend, etc. So we were working July and August, but not too much. And then September, October, November, we were working a lot. Like, okay, completely focused, like 10 hours per day, working together. We rented a place to work together, and that's a thing that, okay, remote work is okay, but when you are together with your co-founders working something that you like, is like that super focus, and being together with the other person gives you a boost of productivity that you can get if you are working remotely.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
And then by November, I started with a pre-release, like, pre-release, like whitelist. And my approach was to talk with other creators like you.
Yeah.
And show them Magnific in a Zoom or Google Meet or whatever, and giving them free tokens. And then they asked me, can I start showing these things and this image? Yeah, of course. So then, and they didn't put any image, any upscale, anything. I just put, this is the whitelist, and you can go here and put your email in the whitelist. And I remember something you told me, that you showed some upscales, people were crazy with them, like enjoying it then a lot. And you told me, Javi, I have someone in direct messages, in DMs, that he's offering me money for doing upscales for him. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So we weren't expecting that kind of how do you say, and the whitelist was super fast, from 0 to 30,000 people on the whitelist. Yeah. So by the time we launched it, we already knew that, okay, maybe this is going to be more bigger than we were expecting. But then we launched, and it was more much bigger than we were expecting. That week, Freepik offered us the first acquisition proposal. It was €1 million. We said, no, it's very early, because we are doing very well. People are enjoying Magnific a lot. We are very fast, not as fast as Lovable, but very fast. and then we keep working on it, building, etc. And it was just 5 months. 5 months since launch to the final offering of Freepik that we were unable to refuse, were acquired by them. Not only because the money, not only because we have been seeing that we share values with them, and we have been working with them for other projects before Magnific. So we knew very well the founders and the team. The team was in love with Magnific. All the designers were using Magnific, etc. So it was a very good
match, no?
good
So
match.
it's funny from the outside is that like you mentioned Danny Postma offering you 15,000 to buy their workflow, and then obviously the first week when you released Magnific, then Freepik approached you with a 1 million offer, and you go like, wait, the price I just 66 times more. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for a little bit longer. Maybe I'll get some more. And in the end, like an undisclosed sum, but like I'm obviously like super happy for you and Emilio, and also for the marriage with Freepik, because I also see these similar values from your small team in the beginning and now being part of the larger Freepik family. And also you haven't stopped, no? Like it's not like you see many acquisitions where the company gets acquired and the acquirer takes the technology and like put it into their products. But in your case, Magnific is very much still its own product. Yes, there is Magnific, what I say, power, like a running inside of Freepik. There's the direct connection with the upscaler from the Freepik editor, etc. Right? But and you haven't stopped, no? Because now you're doing more stuff and you're kind of working
I
with
keep playing.
Yeah, you keep playing. Let's call it, not call it work. You keep playing, but now you have the power of Freepik basically behind you. So. But actually, there's some new stuff that you posted not that long ago, maybe just a few days ago, that you have worked internally on your first foundational model.
Not myself. I wasn't working on that team, but yeah.
It's an extension, no? Like because of this acquisition and Freepik's kind of determination to become a leading team in generative AI in general, this is a natural step. But you have been advising on this internally, no? Like you have been part of it in terms of having things to say. And
More or less.
you know more or less the process too, right? Like you've been working with the head of AI at Freepik, and can you just tell me a little bit about like what you know from what's have happened internally with that project?
With the foundational model or in general?
Yeah, no, with the foundational model.
I was super excited about it since the beginning because I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be first division, no? Creating foundational model for me is like first division. But it's super difficult because it's not just creating a very good model and then publishing it and everything is done. No, you have seen this, no? You have seen this that the companies that are winning and the AI race are not the ones that are creating the best model, are the ones that are consistently creating the best models and are all the time working. They are releasing something, releasing a model, but of course they are working in the future models too. No, it's a very difficult race. It's a race in which you need a lot of money. You have to be OpenAI, you have to be Anthropic, you have to be Google.
Or even Midjourney, though. They have a lot of money, even though it's a small team. They have a lot of money.
Yes. Because they were in the perfect place in the right moment, and they have been doing sign them very well in terms of creating a very artistic approach of generative AI. They are the more artistic, and they offer you a lot of things related to style transfer or creating your mood boards, etc. And now with the new thing they have released is incredible. But yeah, it's true that it's even difficult for them to keep being in this AI race because people like OpenAI, companies like OpenAI and Google are doing well too, no?
Oh yeah, of course. It feels like that they were slow starting. Like it was a slow start for Google, but now with VO, the whole suite of VO models, but now the latest one, obviously. But and the same is true with OpenAI. No, like when but I would say it's OpenAI's like main win here again is like the interface, like the UX. Right? You had like a super complicated workflow that you might have used, Comfy for to make like the biggest spaghetti cloud in the world. And then OpenAI comes in and it's like basically one prompt and two images.
And we are moving towards that.
Of course.
We are moving toward completely liquid interfaces in which if you need a slider, it will pop up. And if you don't need anything, there will be nothing. And you can talk or you can write and you can move your mouse or you can move your hands if you want to be a bit more futuristic, but everything will be generated in front of you in real time. I think right now we know where we are heading. No, there are no more doubts. Maybe 2 years ago we were thinking, oh no, that's science fiction. I think it's pretty clear that we are not moving to creating a workflow very vertical that will be able to do this. No, we are moving to a world with models, multimodal, that will be able to create anything you want in front of you in a matter of seconds. And people are still struggling with this. No, but humans will program always better than AI. It's impossible that AI will program as well, as good as a programmer. Well, I don't know, but I think...
Dive into that a bit. Like, do you think, what's your stance on that? Do you think is there some merit?
Okay, so people are discussing things like, no, I won't be able to create a product very complex from scratch, doing all the JavaScript front end with HTML, all the backend with Python and with Firebase or Supabase, or from scratch with Kubernetes or whatever. No, it's too many things, very complex. And I'm more in the future than that. No. For me, it's not only it will be able to do all that, of course, but I'm already thinking in models, multimodals in the future that will be entirely running in all the logic of the software, or the software logic will be running in the LLM itself. So to the LLM, you send a screenshot, or himself is sending it to the model internally in a loop, and your click with the mouse, or if your hand, you do this or whatever, no inputs and the image, and that's all. And the world will not be, we won't have Python under it or whatever. No, the model will know exactly what it has to do in this following frame. What I don't know if I will have to write about this because it's a bit crazy, you know?
No, I think
but I mean,
it's
you
very
send
clear.
the image and the click, and that's all. LLM will know that it has to pop to draw a slider, and if you click in the slider and you move the mouse, it will know that, so he's moving the slider, so I have to change the illumination of the image, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're entering a time where, like, I think we're a lot of us in kind of in this early race, right, have been saying for years now that we will have self-assembling apps and single-use apps. So, like, we don't even know what to call them. Is it apps? Is it software? What is it? Like, it's super hard to put a name on it because it's not necessarily going to be anything like what we have today. Because today, everything that we use, either on our phone or on a computer, is very specific software for specific tasks. Whereas, like, I can see a future where the operating system is it, right? And the operating system is also mainly powered by an LLM, or like whatever comes after an LLM. We don't know also if, is the language model the end? Probably not, no? Like, there will be some evolution and people will come up with something groundbreaking and then be like, oh, yeah, why didn't we think about this? This makes a lot of sense. And I think, like, if you look at some of the people that have been in the field, like Andrej Karpathy as well, like, he's also been saying that all these crazy things will just happen. And it might not be a diffusion model, or it might not be a language model, but there's something. Like, just the fact that now we're standing on top of all these abstractions, right? Like, we have at the very, very core assembly code, and then we have whatever's on top, and then we got Python and JavaScript and plus stuff on the top, depending on what we're using, right? And then on top of that, now we're parking language models, right? And they're communicating through
another
the stack.
layer of abstraction.
Yeah, another layer, right? But the fact is that the language model is the only layer so far that actually doesn't need all the abstraction layers. The abstraction layers are made for humans, right?
That is, eventually you can have just the last layer and you kill all the other layers, you know?
Yes, foundationally, like, that should work, right? Like, on a theoretical level, that should work. And it should give us, like, the kind of Jensen Huang future where, like, everything will be generated, period.
So in that world, AI will be a commodity like electricity, and you will choose one company or another depending on price and little perks. But if all of them have very powerful, super multimodal models of the future, and all of them are able to do whatever. Which one you will choose? The lower pricey one? No? So maybe software, all the software, all the things related to design, creativity, entertainment, also not creativity, sorry, entertainment, films, etc. It will be like a commodity that like electricity.
So it's crazy when you think about it, though. By the end of it, like if we're fast forward into the future, it's almost like you will have your water bill, your electricity or gas bill, and then your AI bill.
Yeah.
It will be such an important commodity that it probably will be something like this. No, you cannot run anything without this layer of compute, basically. And it's funny because like we have like this kind of like what's happening in the cloud, what happens on device, on the edge, like how much can you run in your own hardware versus how much can you run in the cloud. And it's getting clear now that like, in my opinion, at least, there's a lot of things that's going to happen on device. Or like a lot of today, even seemingly complicated things that we need the cloud for will actually just happen privately and on your device. So it feels like the future is
locally, like local GPU in your device or in the cloud.
Yeah, no, locally. Some things will happen locally, but then obviously we still have the cloud. I think the cloud will be super important because right now it seems like the most intense things that we can do. We need the cloud, and then you do autocorrect, and you can do that on your phone, right? You can do other things on your phone. You can run very distilled versions of language models, right? The quantized versions. But in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if we get to run, the equivalent in a mobile device in the next 5 years, right? It makes a lot of sense. It probably will happen.
Yes.
But if that, when that also happens, it means that the amount of intelligence, quote unquote, that we will have access to will continue to be exponential. Like there won't be a stop to this growth. What's your take on like where are we heading in terms of like broader than just generative AI, broader than just like image generation and video and stuff? Where do you think we're going if we're let our minds wander a bit in the science fiction world? What do you think where are we heading?
Wow, okay. It's very difficult, when you try to know how it's going to be the future. And if you ask how it will be a car to someone from a Western film, like American in the Westerns, and they will be imagining maybe how do you say, carro with horses, carro in English. How do you say?
Yes.
They will be, no, how it's going to be the cars? So I put rockets to the horses and they will be super fast, no? We always imagine the future with the things we have today, put them together, stitching them together. But it's never like that, because in the future there will be new things that we can imagine, even know, and new things that we'll discover that will change the future, no? So it's very difficult. Usually you can see it in a utopic way. In a science fiction, there is Mr. Ian Banks. He's a writer and he wrote the culture books, and he's imagining a society in the future that AI is benevolent and super AI is super benevolent with humans. So AI and humans are working together. These humans can do whatever they want because they are immortal, and they don't have money because they don't need money, because AI can create anything they want in any moment for them. And some of them are bored. So they go to other planets outside of the culture ecosystem of planets to have some adventures. Places where they can die, or places that they can do something meaningful, because they are a little bit bored of just having parties and enjoying without anything that is putting his life in risk. So this is a kind of utopic way of thinking of a future with AI. The dystopic way, we have also seen that a lot in films, like from Terminator to, we don't know, by the time AI, so if we stay like we are today, that AI is not conscious, could you say that? by the time we are in that moment, it's super cool because we have like a magic wand that we are using. The magic wand doesn't have any purpose. The magic wand doesn't have any objectives. We are the one that have the magic wand, so we can use it or not use it whenever we want. That's super cool. If we stay like that, it will be super cool. The risky moment, I think, for me is by the time an AI will be conscious, then it will have objectives, and then we arrive to singularity point because maybe it will try to improve itself exponentially very fast, and then we don't know what can happen after that. It will take the sun, create a Dyson sphere, take all the energy to create a project, and then kill us without even knowing.
Yeah.
And it will be super benevolent, and it will be helping us to conquer the stars or whatever. We don't know.
This is the kind of, this is the alignment issue, like bouncing into one subject after the other here. But like, if we can align the AI with our values to help us, and then in some magical ways that it continues to think that that is important, then it will be one of the greatest tools that we ever invented. But then on the other side, if it decides that we're just like very unnecessary, then, but this is only if we get to the point where like we have conscious, we can determine if it has consciousness or not. It's going to be an interesting one.
Very interesting philosophy.
So we can just agree that the future is really hard to discern. Obviously, you have a little bit of an eye for like the short-term future, given that you were tinkering and playing with disk diffusion and all these this pipelines for making cool things in the early days of generative AI. So where, if anyone were to focus right now, today,
I have to put the foot in the floor. I went too far.
No, you did not. The question was very far out, and I want to bring it back to be like closer to home, closer to now, and in the things that you are seeing that maybe not be super mainstream, but like where you think like, oh, this is an important area. This is something that I think more people should look into. What would such an area be, if any, if you have something on your mind?
We are already living that in the present. We are seeing that all jobs that are happening in front of a computer, the way of working is changing very fast. No, before Cloud, Sonnet, ChatGPT, etc., programming was just writing some thinking in the architecture you want for the project you want to build, and then slowly coding all that, and then doing a lot of Google to go to Stack Overflow and website like that. And it was very tedious. For me, it was rewarding because I enjoy programming. I also enjoy walking and other kind of things. But we can't forget that programming is just a way for doing other things. It's just the medium is not the final objective. The final objective is to build the video game or to build an app or whatever. So of course, if someone can say, okay, I want a Tetris game, but all the pieces has to be glowing, then suddenly a machine, an AI can create that in front of you. Of course, people will use it. And if you are not using AI every day together with you, maybe with Copilot or with Cursor or whatever, you are not going to be as efficient as another programmer that is already doing that. Some programmers are still in the negation phase, like, oh, but I'm still better than this. It makes a lot of mistakes. Of course, it makes a lot of mistakes. It's a 2 years baby, more or less. Of course, but you will be much faster with that. And now you have an advantage because there are still some programmers that are not using it. So if you are using it and you are a very good programmer, you will be 100 times faster or whatever. People have to realize that work processes are changing, I think. And they have to jump as fast as possible from the negative phase to going all in to the pool phase and start using this tool for everything. I think everything that happens in front of a computer. Of course, if you are a gardener, you don't need AI for anything. But if you are a medic, Maybe in the future with robots, but if you are a medic, you can improve your diagnosis a lot with AI already. You put the images directly and all the patient data, and you will have a better diagnostic than before. And if you are a programmer, of course, if you are a designer, etc., all the jobs. Of course, at the same time, there is that risk that, hey, this is getting very good. Eventually, they will put us out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, in Spanish we say, there is two ways of seeing this. It's like, me van a dejar sin trabajo, me van a quitar el trabajo, o me van a quitar de trabajar. So they are going to put me out of work, so without a job. Maybe they will, I don't know how to say it in English, or it's the same, but you won't have to work, you know?
Yeah.
It's not that they will take your job, it's that you won't have to work.
Exactly.
Maybe you will be able other things, and then we will have to start talking about things like the minimal, how do you say in English? Renta mínima,
like base income. Yeah. Universal basic income, UB.
In a world that everything, all the automation are creating all the value.
Yeah.
Utopically speaking,
yeah,
we can do other things and we'll have all the basic things covered.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So again, maybe too much in the future.
No, I don't
right
think.
now,
I think
go all in.
Yeah. So that is the conclusion right now. Like, there's no really specific area where you say like, okay, specific area is work that happens in front of the computer, but it doesn't matter if you're a programmer or if you're doing research or if you're a banker or whatever it is. If you're working at the computer, the consensus is, or like, you need to be working with these things, because if not, then someone else will do it, and they will be more effective, efficient. Yeah. And I think this is very makes a lot of sense. And also, I'm trying to be like optimistic about the adoption of all these systems in general. But of course, I can understand that like some people are slower to approve. But I think ultimately, like, trying to be anti this is it's going to be like anti-electricity. Sure, you can be anti-electricity, but let's see like how it was on Monday in Spain when we lost electricity. Nothing works. Only the Spanish people are very relaxed, and we went to the beach, we went to the bar, we had a beer as long as they were cold, no? But there was no coffee. That's the biggest problem. Only cold brew.
Of course, the machine wasn't working. Yeah,
The machine wasn't working. No, I agree. I think there's like there is we're living through a very particular time. I've been trying to this has been my personal kind of goal as well since 2022 or somewhere around 2023, mid 2022, to try to be like, oh, actually, everyone needs to understand this. Like, my mom needs to understand, like, everyone. This is something that's going to affect everyone. Positive and negative. Like, we just need to understand that this is happening. It's super interesting to kind of see where things are going. And also to the point where, like, an example today, I was super interested in this new company called Volonaut, which is this personal kind of jet-powered motorcycle that flies.
Really? And I haven't seen that.
No, it's they just unveiled like maybe yesterday or something. It's super new. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. But there's no information about this company. Like, you go to the website, it's very like, okay, where is it even based? You don't know. But then I'm like, well, I don't have to do this manual work anymore. You know, ChatGPT 4.0.
Research.
Yeah, deep research. I asked question, literally just one question. Do some deep research, do some very deep research on this company, and I provided the URL. And then it went on for like 5 minutes, and I got back like a 10-page report where I know where the headquarters is, who the founder is. And then I start to realize, yes, this is actually the same founder as for Jetson 1, the electrical flying car. And it's super interesting because, like, I wouldn't have found any of this information if I went searching on my own. It would have taken me many days. On Google, on Google. It would not be efficient. And this is not even programming. This is just information acquiring.
I remember the time that we were talking with a friend, and he was like, oh, but this is like this, whatever, no? Maybe some historic fact, whatever. And we didn't have Google. I remember that. I'm that old. And then we say, okay, maybe yes, maybe not, no? And the critical thinking was finishing there because it was impossible to prove otherwise. Then we have Google. No, wait. And then you put your mobile out, Google it, and no, This is not like that. But nowadays, I'm not using Google for that kind of things. Nowadays, I'm just copy pasting the things someone put on Twitter. For example, if it's level CEO and he's talking about something related to health, cholesterol, or whatever, I copy paste his stand and put it on ChatGPT Deep Research or Gemini 2.5 or ChatGPT all three.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, this is a kind of maybe exaggeration. This is true, but this other thing is not like that because, and he gives you all the explanation, then you can click on the sources. It's incredible. So critical thinking is, I was thinking, is AI going to make humanity dumber or smarter? Sometimes 1 year ago, I was like, wait, maybe this is risky because if AI is doing everything, we will stop thinking. But right now, I started to think that no, we just will go to another layer of abstraction with much better critical thinking because AI will be educating us during all our lives. This is going to born today. By the time he or she will be 5 years old, maybe too early, maybe 7 or 8 years old, he will have this kind of LLMs to ask whatever they want, maybe just by talking. Being educated in things like history, science, etc. And maybe critical thinking will be better than before. Thanks to that humanity will be smarter, not dumber. What do you think?
No, I think it makes sense. And also, if we think about it, I have small kids, obviously, and they're not going to the mandatory school yet. They're going to preschool. But when they start, the kids that actually starting school this year, 2025, they won't finish school until 2039. So if you think about that for a minute, and you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, they're gonna be almost 2040 when they're finishing school. Like this is not university we're talking here. We're just talking standard school. And then you start to think about, will these people, these kids that go to school today, will they ever be smarter than the machines? And I think not. I think they will be the first generation of people that goes through the school system, where the school system will change a lot during these 14 years when they go there. But also to the point where like the fact that the way that they are supposed to be when they come out of the school system will be completely different from any time before. Like we have been in the same system that our parents went to, that the parents before them went to. Like it's pretty standardized. You go in classes of your age. You go through 1, 2, 3, all the way up until you finished. You learn subjects, and that's it. Maybe some of the subjects have changed a little bit during time, but the principle of the school for the last 100, 150 years have been more or less the same in any of the educated parts of the world where like we have a proper school system. But with AI changing basically everything, I'm starting to think that we are now entering a very interesting time where these kids are basically the guinea pigs of the future. We don't know what will happen during that time, but we can almost with certainty say that the other side of that will be very, very different. And that puts us in a very particular place because I'm kind of mid-age, I'm close to 40, and you know, in 15 years time I'll be 55. But then like what will happen during this time in my life where I'm supposed to be maybe making the best I can? Like I'm supposed to be in the prime of my working age, you know, like I should contribute the most to society because I'm not old, I'm not young. I've kind of lived the experience of growing up with the internet, etc. So I think it's very interesting from a technical perspective and seeing where we are, how all of this actually has a profound impact on everything, not just Silicon Valley technoids or the
society. Yeah. See, I think it's very interesting. I think that is children won't be children of humanity in the future. Children and then becoming adults, they will not be smarter than AI maybe, but they will be smarter than previous generation of humans.
Oh, for sure.
It's like in chess before Deep Blue and now the super how do you say super? It's not model in giants chess. chess engines like Stockfish, and that is 3000 ELO or whatever. It's better than, and of course, Marcus Persson or any other chess player. So since Deep Blue chess players are better than ever. They are not better than AI engines, but they are better than any chess player in previous year of history of humanity. Why? Because they can learn from playing the best chess possible, a chess that they won't be able to play never, but they can play with this kind of engines non-stop. So there are some chess players of 6, 7, 8 years old today that are future monsters, and they have been playing with Stockfish 3000 ELO non-stop for several hours per day, and they are going to become the best player ever. So maybe if we are lucky, that will happen with our children too in the future, with the best models of the future and the models we have today. They will be talking with them, models will be educating them from very early stages, and they will be learning a lot of things and thinking critically and seeing any doubt they have questions from different point of views, and that will be creating a very smart humanity in the future. That's the optimistic way.
I share this view because like it's just as much as these AI systems are giving all the teachers the necessary help to be better teachers, right? To help out with all the stuff that's complicated and time consuming. It's also helping out the students to have very personalized ways of learning. My kids might learn different than my friends' kids, or in the class of my daughter, it's like they're 20 kids. They are very different. Imagine if in any subject they can have a specialist that tells them anything that they want to question, any inquiry. But then the problem is that the only thing that we should focus on teaching the next generation is how to be curious, how to be inquisitive, how to ask questions, the critical thinking. This is the only thing that will matter, because the rest, the machines will be so damn good at. So we need to kind of inverse this current problem that we have in society, where I think, and this is a personal opinion, but I think we've become worse in critical thinking with the rise of the internet and social media, for example, as an amplifier of words, that we lost the ability to ask questions, to really ask questions and understand the nuance. We're really easy to say black or white, or the different things, and not asking, is there some truth to this, or is there none, or is all of it true?
We'll see, Have to wait and see. Hopefully, by the time that machine will be better than us in everything, AI will be better than us in everything, humans in that future will have time to think about the things they want to do, they want to enjoy, they want to investigate, and they will have, in this utopic way of thinking of the future, they will have AIs just as guides, teachers, education, etc., and maybe working together in, in the edge cases that we haven't covered, like science. We have a lot of things that we haven't covered: dark matter, black matter, symmetric, quantum physics, and gravity putting together with
fusion, teleportation. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Faster than light travel.
That is, well, we'll see about that. Yeah, all that kind of thing. Just putting gravity together with the other forces will be like impressive if in the future AI can help. The scientifics of the future with that. We'll see, and maybe we won't have to do all the jobs that maybe today are a bit boring, or we'll be able to do them if we enjoy them only. Just will be an option to work, will be an option. If you don't want to work and you want to work and to be with your family, you will be able to do that. That's a very utopic way of seeing the future. So we will see.
Yeah, I think like we've seen Google moving into this with DeepMind, right? With them as Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, being very focused on scientific tooling, right? Like using all the learnings from the past 15 years and then just applying that to like all these really hard scientific problems. We have the folding of protein issues, right? Where they just basically solved that problem. It was a problem for humanity for 50 years, right? We couldn't even get close to folding these proteins that we needed to fold. And then basically just within the range of a few years time, putting effort into this problem, right, and also becoming a Nobel laureate because of it, managed to fold all the proteins. And this is now has profound implications on basically science, medical science, right? Not just medical science, science in general, for all sorts of interesting applications. And this is just one area, right? This is we're not talking about RNA or DNA. We're just talking about proteins at this point. But imagine how that field now is like really open for anyone to go in and say, hey, maybe we can solve all the things that we can get ill from. There's no disease anymore in 20 years time, 15 years time. So why not? Why wouldn't we be able to do that? Like, I don't see how these systems have like an upper end. Like, it's just like, if we can solve this problem, we should be able to solve all of the problems. It's like chess. If we can beat chess, if we can do Go, then yeah, we should. These are all mathematical solvable problems.
That is.
What
Eventually, maybe what happened in our brains is a kind of just that, statistics. And then maybe conscience is just that.
Maybe
We'll see.
consciousness is just that. Yeah, we'll see. All right, we're getting to the end of this. So obviously you were part of Upscale Conference in Malaga in November, I
Whoa,
think.
we are going to the ground now.
Yeah, now we're going back all the way back to the ground. And then somehow we decided it was a good idea to bring Upscale Conference to San Francisco, which I think is super exciting. And you are not really participating in a way, like you're not part of any, you're not giving a talk, you're not doing anything like that. But you will be there, if I'm not mistaken, no? You will be.
You have seen my English. I can be speaking in public. Oh my god!
You'll
But I will
fine.
be I will be there. I will
You will
be
be
there.
there. Is there anything you looking forward to at Upscale Conference?
Well, so what Freepik is able to do, we have been talking before about Magnific, but our approach from the company right now is Freepik first. We really want that Freepik has everything. Because of that, Magnific is already inside of Freepik. And there are certain things that we are not going to launch it in Magnific. We'll keep improving the upscaler in Magnific, but I think from now on, all the most important tools related to in painting or video, etc., will be launched in Freepik first. We really want Freepik to have everything. So with UpscaleConf, what we want is to meet other people in the generative AI world in person, because everything in person is always better. We are not AI, we are humans, and we like to be with other humans that are sharing the likings or the things that we like. And of course, to be able to show what Freepik is able to do. But not only Freepik, other companies that are super interesting, like Hicksville will be there, or people from OpenAI is going. So it's a kind of a place with people sharing common interest, that is generative AI, of course.
Is there any particular conversation you're looking forward to?
Well, all of them.
Good.
More philosophy like this.
Yeah.
More science fiction.
I think ultimately science fiction drives science, right? Like that's the way that I like to see the way of history and the world. Like when I see all these from my own science fiction childhood movies that I always kind of like liked and enjoy. Maybe we didn't get it all right in terms of like the actual solutions, but like if you think about it, many of the science fiction things have actually become science. But maybe slightly altered in the execution. Like, for example, in the Jetsons, we don't have these rolling sidewalks everywhere, but we did get electric skateboards, we did get hoverboards, it changed a little bit. Like, it was easier to make a hoverboard than to make an electrical sidewalk, right? It makes more sense.
Yes.
So the mentality was there, and the problem to solve was the right one, but it was just like the applied solution was different. And I think the same goes for like these agentic systems, right? We look at something like TARS from the movie Interstellar, or we look at something at George Orwell's the tablets they had, and also HAL. Like these are all kind of the AI systems that we're starting to see and have today. Like they're very spot on. They're very, very close to what we actually envisioned. So if you start to think that way about science fiction, like, I think it's important that we get like the next generation of science fiction, because it feels like we haven't really got beyond like our current horizon of dreams. You can go all the way to Star Wars or Star Trek, and like, oh, we can visit other worlds, and like, yeah, but like, what's the closer to home type of science fiction, right? That's where I'm super interested to see where we're going. One kind of last question, and that would be around like you are a figure online in the AI community. You made yourself kind of known through
Like you.
X or Twitter. Yes, me. If you could ask a question, an open question to that AI community, what would that question be? Or do you have anything in particular that you are interested in knowing?
Whoa. The thing is that anytime that I have that kind of question, I go directly to X and I put it there.
Good.
So what can I ask?
If we want to know what you're asking currently, the idea is to go and follow Javi Lopen on X and then answer all the questions that Javi might have then. All right. So we covered everything. We covered a little bit where you come from, the fact that you are a geek, all the way to the philosophy of science fiction and where we're going to tomorrow. And then in a few days, or a few weeks' time, we will see you potentially in San Francisco as an attendee, and you'll see me at the Upscale Conf on the stage hosting, presenting all the wonderful speakers. So yeah, thank you so much, Javi, for taking the time and having this conversation with me.
Thank you, and hope to see you soon in UpscaleConf. You and all the people that are hearing this.
Perfect. Yeah, everyone's welcome. Get your tickets now. All right. Okay.